know, the losses of homes. And this grant and this match funding, match Title III funding, is designed specifically for that purpose. Prevent fire from a house to escape onto the public lands, and also to prevent a fire from the public land to destroy personal property. Is specifically, these Title III funds is basically going to be used for, you know, our risk assessment in the home ignition zones. And essentially, this is going door to door to people's homes. And our you know, hopefully when these funds are approved and obligated, you know, we can get, you know, an agreement with the Lassen Fire Safe Council and start to get some boots on the ground and talking to these folks. We also see that our best effort is to get homeowners to become firewise and be aware of their property and do the right thing. Also, this Title III funding will be used to assist the homeowners for treatments within the 200 feet space. Overall, I think the program has been excellent with, you know, working to try to get grants and agreements with other agencies. Again, I like to, you know, I talk to Lloyd a lot, and, you know, when we think about fire in the area, we're very concerned. What I'd like to do is get someone on my board that has a lot of fire experience that could help push this in, you know, to the public and keep it out there. I've been talking with Danny Paulson, my fire chief out there, and you know, we're all on board with that, and you know, hopefully we can utilize the fire department for, you know, helping us, you know, get the word out to the folks. So again, we're requesting this $11,500 from these Title III funds, and we expect to utilize them on the ground as soon as possible this fall if we can. And I'd like to come back to the board and give, you know, any type of performance or update on our progress. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, you bet. Thanks.
Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to comment on the Janesville proposal? Violet, you raising your hand, or you just...
No, I just want to know if the council people get paid for being on this council.
The Janesville Town Council?
Yeah.
Yeah, do all the guys that work there get paid?
We're volunteers, ma'am.
I know there's volunteers, and volunteers get paid, so that's what I'm asking.
Dean?
Yeah, real quick, this is on both projects.
Okay, we'll accept those comments.
I've had a couple people call me or ask me, hey, is it, you know, are you competing over these funds? And we don't have competing interests. You know, obviously we pursued the funds just because we didn't want to have to give them back to the federal government. You know, we want them to be used locally, and I'm glad to see some local proposals, some Firewise or Fire Safe Community proposals. So yeah, I support both of the proposals from Janesville Town Council and the Spalding Community Services District, and there's no conflict between us and them, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Dan, you have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On my other hat, board member on the Lassen Fire Safe Council.
Yes.
I want to support the project as well, mainly because there's an opportunity here for Janesville to become one of the first fire-adapted recognized communities in the nation in California. And we're going to work closely with them to see that happens for them, because I think it's a big shot in the arm for them as well as the county to have a recognized fire-adapted community in California.
A fire what?
Fire-adapted community?
A fire adapted, thank you.
It's a spin-off of the Firewise Communities USA program. Basically, Firewise Communities is individual homeowners. Fire adapted communities is the entire community. They all buy into the process and understand that it takes a part of all of them to become this community that recognizes the need to address the fire issues. So.
Aaron?
While you're there, I mean, help tie this into the SRA fees. I know it's completely different, but what you guys are doing there in Janesville is the same thing that the SRP was implemented for. I mean, is there some way that you can tie this together legislatively to help on the appeal process of the SRA fees, at least for the Janesville area, because they're going to be the first one in the nation? Is that someplace where we can poke a hole in this thing to get?
You know, that's an interesting question, because, you know, I haven't really been following the SRAP that much. I do know that, my understanding is that's supposed to support the recovery.
It was supposed to be for fire prevention.
Yeah, there's.
I wasn't really clear on that, and so, like I said, I just need a little bit more education on that part of it. As far as using or removing the fees, is that what you're looking at, having
Yeah, because you guys are doing all this in Janesville, and you just said you're gonna be the first one in the nation that's, whatever you just
fire
called it.
adapted community, yeah.
Fire adapted community. But yeah, I'm sure most people out there in Janesville, they live with outside the city limits. So I'm sure that they're all being assessed.
They're
the
probably
SRA
being assessed the
fee.
fee, yeah.
So why can't you guys use that as at least to chip away at this SRA fee? Maybe at least get the people of Janesville eliminated and give some other surrounding community, maybe Milford and Exeter, Spalding, or whoever, to help start chipping away at this.
Every little effort, I agree with you, is a method to start chipping away at that fee, so we'll do whatever we can to support that,
I mean, maybe
because,
that's something else you can look into with
Right.
your Janesville guys. You can
right, we'll do.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can you report back what you're gonna do on?
For the
Aaron's
SRA fee?
suggestion? Yeah, you said you're gonna
We'll-
do whatever you can do.
Sure, I can come back and give you a
Think,
report.
and then
Yeah.
come let us know what that is.
Sure.
Well, fine.
The SRA fees were a state-imposed budget solution a couple of years ago to help underwrite the cost of what used to be called CAL FIRE, something different. I mean, in order for Janesville to be exempted, it would take some sort of legislative action.
Well, I can't imagine they'd be
But they're
exempt.
getting there. But these guys are getting there for the same purpose that the SRA.
There was part of the SRA fee that was cut out for this kind of educational process.
Part of it went to education, I think.
Yeah.
And so we're almost being double taxed here for the same purpose. You know, you have the
Undoubtedly.
SRA fee, and then you also have the Title III, and
It's very hard to get that SRA fee low.
It's gonna be difficult, exactly.
We'll wait for Jarvis at
Yes.
Jarvis Tax.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience want to comment on Janesville? If not, we're going to move to Spalding. Morning, Chris.
Good morning.
You want to give us a fishing update or anything else while you're up there?
Oh, the weather's
I
getting
didn't
cold,
ask for
so-
lake level. No, I didn't
No,
ask
let's
for
not
lake
talk
level.
about that. But actually, this is a perfect segue. Aaron, I can answer your question about the SRA fee because our board actually had that idea about 6 months ago, I think. And I wrote a letter to the chief of CAL FIRE requesting some of that money for prevention and education because for this year, our budget was to establish an emergency evacuation fire safe plan for our community. Well, that created a pretty big stir. It was directed by their chief for their chief here to answer that question and try to get some funding elsewhere for us for that particular project, because there isn't a mechanism for that money to be spent. Apparently, the governor hasn't put that in any of his budgets, and they have no mechanism or any kind of definition of what that money's going to be used for. So there was this little soft shoe shuffle that happened, and that's how we got hooked up with the Fire Safe Council and are here today to request the $7,000 because that was the soft shoe that we got. No, it's not available, like Ben said here today, and you need to find some other way to fund these kind of projects. So I'm not sure what CAL FIRE is doing with that money, except maybe waiting for the lawsuit to cause it to be sent back at some point. So I'm not sure. But that was a perfect segue into having Spalding here. My name is Chris Gallagher. I'm the general manager of Spalding Community Services District. And I actually have two of my board members here as well, Ted Thomas and Dan James. And our hope is that we can have some of this funding in order to finish up our emergency evacuation plan. There was one made for Spalding and Stones back in 2004, and combined both of them, but we want to focus on what's going on in Spalding right now. You may have heard that we worked through CAL FIRE to have a green waste event from July 2nd through the 5th, which was very, very successful. We had 300 yards of green waste dumped there. A lot of the homes that were had pine needles and slash and, old sagebrush and everything else there. Quite a number of them have been cleaned up. The people in the community took advantage of that cleanup, and we're going to continue that event every year because I think it will really assist us in keeping that community fire safe. So there is a real focus on the board right now to do that. What we plan to do with the $7,000 is we partnered with the Lassen Fire Safe Council and are trying to promote the importance of the defensible space and making property addresses really clear in order for our fire department to respond quickly. Dan Douglas came up and gave us a display at one of our pancake breakfasts, and that's what we want to help promote. A lot of the addresses, as you probably all know up there, are very difficult to find, and when we respond to anything there, it's like, okay, where is this address, and are we at the right place? So that's one of the things we want to do. And I talked about, no, I don't think I talked about this yet. Last year, we created a weed abatement ordinance for our district and are beginning to enforce that requirement. And actually, we've worked with county members here now to try to expand that throughout the county and have a kind of a consistent weed abatement process throughout various communities. Part of our funding will be used to gain Firewise USA certification, create a Firewise community assessment, printing Firewise educational materials, public education campaign to improve landscape that promotes fire safety, and help with clearing fire to hazard situations in our district. And once again, we talked about that green waste event that we had and continuing that. We plan to do that next year as well. So we hope that the board would approve our $7,000 request. And, it's funny to hear the talk about the TV, taking in $35,000. Well, our fire department takes in $40,000, so it makes it very difficult for us to afford anything else. So we're always looking for funding elsewhere, and the SR8 fee really killed our attempt last year to increase our fire assessment in our community, and it didn't pass. So we really are looking for any way to help fund our fire department. Thank you.
Bob?
No, I didn't make a motion.
You gotta finish.
I gotta
Yes,
ask.
Iona McCain.
Yeah, Iona McCain speaking here. I gotta ask, Mr. Gallagher, is the fire station you're talking about, is that located on Mahogany?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's very nice. I've been out there backpacking quite a bit. Those roads are atrocious. How in the world, you can't even get a car over those roads? And they're so rocky. I mean, you're talking about trying to protect around Spalding area. The only way these people are going to be safe is jumping what lake is there, if there's any lake at all. There's more to be involved in this. I think they need all the help they can get and all the finances they can get. Thank you.
Thank you, Iona. Aaron?
Yeah, Chris, I got one question for you. You talked about your weed abatement. Now, is that just an officer to go out and to look at the, saying you need to spray your weeds, or does the weed abatement, does it include like a spray school where you advertise to come out here and learn how to properly mix your chemicals and how to spray and what to spray, and then at the end of the deal, you give out small quantities of chemical?
No, it has nothing to do with chemicals at all. It's creating defensible space around property, especially those that have occupied dwellings. A lot of the properties up in Spalding, as you know, were campsites initially, and people bought a couple of campsites so that they could bring their trailer up or whatever. And a lot of those places have been abandoned for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And so you have sagebrush and pine needles and everything else that are laying on the ground and just are perfect to start a fire that would just inundate that community. So we're trying to get people to become more aware that they need that defensible space, that 30 to 50 feet around the structures to stop a fire that would come through and just, wipe out our community.
So weed abatement isn't necessarily your noxious weeds or tall grasses?
No, we're not really working on that. It's more of the junk and rubbish, and, we're even working with the code enforcement officer to try to get rid of some of the abandoned trailers and vehicles and things like that that could potentially be fire hazards as well.
Thanks, Chris. Anybody else in the audience care to make a comment on either one of these proposals? Okay,
No, and
Julie.
I have one more thing before
yes,
we decide.
before we have action.
I have previously sent the two special districts a link to the specific rules on the allowable uses and the non-allowable uses of Title III, and I got confirmation that they did receive those. Just a couple things that I've been reading this morning, on the informational materials, and this has become more of a focus for these funds, just what is and isn't allowed, but it needs to focus on the home ignition zone, not the broader wildland area. And so, like I said, I've been communicating with them so that they're aware of what they can spend the money on. As part of the process, in February, the Lassen County Administration Office is required to certify February 1st that these monies have been used, what they were used for, that was allowable in the previous calendar year. So I just want to say out loud that I will be looking to the special districts to send me some specific information from your directors certifying and have that come to our office so that I can then prepare the reports that need to go from our office saying, yes, this is what they've spent the money for. And then just, be aware of those rules, like on the Firewise communities, there is a note in here that has to be received within 12 months, so just be aware of those types of things. So that's what I'll be looking for.
Sure, both entities, I'm sure, understand that, so. Anybody else care to make a comment on either one of these items? That said, the chair to entertain a motion on the action that's being requested here.
Yeah, I'd move to approve and allocate Title III funds in the amount of $11,500 to Janesville County Council and $7,000 to Spalding CFP.
Moved by Supervisor Pyle, seconded by Supervisor Wasek to approve the allocations of the Title III funds to Janesville
Under discussion.
and to Spalding under discussion.
Thank you. I want to thank, both Austin and Chris. I know you guys are both extremely passionate about your, respective communities, and it's nice to see, I've come to know Austin a bit here the last couple of years, and you really take it to heart down there, and it's nice, to have something that you're so passionate about. I've been there a couple of times, and my passion's getting a bit thin these days on stuff, but it's nice to see you have a lot of energy, and you love what you do, and it really shows, and the same for Chris, and I think that's really what makes communities, are people that really want to get involved and are passionate about it, and you guys both fit the bill, and the community owes you guys a thanks, and I thank you both for what you do.
Just reiterate on Spalding CSP, you guys are doing a great job. I've been, watching and involved in that for 15 years now.
Great job on limited resources. All the special districts.
You guys, I understand the
All the
fire
special
department
districts.
problem and all that, you guys do a good job. Thank you. You make life easier for me when you guys keep the people happy.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? That carries unanimously. We're going to move into item C, and item C is our public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Item C is our public hearing. C1 is the public hearing for FY 2013-14 budget hearings and budget adoptions. I'm going to move it to C2. And C2, we're going to adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and convene as the Lassen MoDOC Flood Control District. And subject will be the approval of a resolution for the Lassen MoDOC Flood Control budget in the amount of $30,000. So, Julie, are you going to take the staff report on this, and then we'll open up the public hearing?
Yes, in this and the other actions that follow regarding the budget, they were posted publicly in the paper 2 times for the public hearing. And Lassen MoDOC flood, the item we're currently discussing, I did communicate with the MoDOC secretary, and she did communicate with all of the members that are on this board from up there, and I don't believe any of them were able to make it today, so, but I did confirm also again with them last week, and I sent them a copy of the budget and the resolution prior to, at least 3 weeks to a month ago.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of the staff report from board members or from the audience? Hearing none, we're going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak on the budget item, either for, against, or have any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and the chair would entertain a motion if there's no further discussion.
That's so moved.
I'll second with the question.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution establishing the budget for the Lassen Modoc Flood Control District at $30,000 under discussion.
On the very back page of your deal under expenditures, on the last one under account number, you got 3002800. What's a CPO departmental expense?
That's supposed to be special,
Okay.
it's just a typo.
Okay.
We can correct that for future, and for this one,
That's what I thought it was, I just wanted.
yeah, special departmental.
Any other, anything else under discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Is there any opposition among the board members? Hearing none, that carries unanimously. We're going to go ahead and adjourn as the Lassen Modoc Flood Control District and convene as the Board of Supervisors. And as such, we're going to take up item C3, which is the budget for the Beaver Lighting District. We will adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and convene as the Beaver Lighting District. And this is to take up a resolution establishing appropriation limit of $18,547 for the fiscal year, and approving the 2013-14 budget for the lighting district in the amount of $9,000. So, staff report?
It's been publicly noticed and is available for the public to pick up at any time.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions of the staff report by the audience or members?
One question.
Supervisor Alba?
Julie, how come we're paying utilities, how come we're going to 9,000 instead of, I know it's been going up a little bit every year, but
I believe the utilities last year were the budget for utilities last year was 9,500. I see where you're saying. The auditor's office prepares this. I know that she had another engagement, so she's not here to support me on this. I know that the budget last year was 9,500. Why it's proposed to be under utilities, it could be that it just was an oversight, because last year it looks like it was broken out between buildings and improvements. The Beaver Lighting District needs $9,000 to operate, which is a decrease in proposed budget of $500. The auditor does have the authority to move within service and supplies that to a different area. If it's going to be needed for buildings and improvements or for any other purpose, it would have to come back to the board for that approval.
okay. And then I got a couple, I've never heard of the Beaver Lighting District until I got this. I mean, what lights do they do power in Beaver and
I
Washington?
don't have that information right offhand. I know the auditor does work with this special district, so we have to follow up with that.
I mean, is this the airport or something? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think they're the streetlights.
I believe it's.
Within the community, they have to be paid for by the district.
For the football field.
Don't know. Okay, any other questions of the staff report, either by the board or the audience?
It says six streetlights in the front page of the budget. It says auditor's office pays one bill per month for the district to PG&E for electricity to 6 streetlights in Beaver.
Thank you. Any other questions? Staff report?
I can find out.
We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing then. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak either for or against, or have any questions or comments on this proposal for the Beaver Lighting District? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back up to the Beaver Lighting District Board for appropriate action adopting the resolution. Chair would entertain a motion.
I'll move approval, I guess, but
Been moved by Supervisor Alba and seconded by Supervisor Pyle to adopt the resolution establishing the appropriation limit in the amount of $18,547 for the FY 2013-2014 and approving a budget of $9,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, that we'll consider that to be adopted unanimously. We'll adjourn as the Beaver Lighting District and convene as the Board of Supervisors. Moving on to item C4, we will go ahead and adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and convene as CSA or County Service Area 1, Honey Lake TV. And the subject here will be a resolution approving the CSA 1 budget for the Honey Lake TV in the amount of $67,679 and adopting the 2013-14 TV user fee in the amount of $25. Staff report?
The budget was prepared in coordination with the Honey Lake TV Corporation, and it has been publicly noticed and is available for the public and has been.
Thank you very much. Any questions from board members on the staff report? Any questions from the audience on the staff report prior to taking public comment? Sure. On the staff report, you bet.
So if you could just tell me, so on the budget, the revenues are, they're stated earlier.
The page 1, which is actually page 2 of the packet, page 1 is the resolution, is the revenues, and we're predicting $35,000 from the user fees. There is one $6,150 that comes from one client.
It's from the corrections center.
Thank you. And then a miscellaneous revenue, I believe that's the money that the Honey Lake TV Corporation is going to be using of their carryover balance.
Did it show the carryover balance here on the second page?
There, I don't have the balance. I don't know what funds they have available. They're just projecting, in order to make it balanced, that they will use $27,410.
What is the carryover approximately?
My last discussion with our treasurer was, I think it was 50,000. Am I right, Jim? Does that sound familiar?
It sounds about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the staff report? Supervisor Alba?
on the same thing, Julie, where it says on user fees on the same page, for 10-11, you only have $3,000 worth of income, but then last year you had almost $38,000. Why is the,
In 10-11, the Board of Supervisors elected not, or voted not to collect the fee for that year. So that, those were probably fees that were paid on a previous assessment, or it could be timing.
why did the board elect not to collect the fees?
Carryover balance.
It seems to me like there was
Service
Supervisor
insurance.
Chapman felt there was
Yeah.
more money in the reserve or an account needed and that the people should not have to pay the tax. Or the fee that year. I think that's correct. Do you remember that? It seems to me like that.
No, we weren't consulted on this.
It came about when we were approving the budget, and there was some comments from
Don't trust
supervisors
my
as
memory,
far as.
because I think that is why.
Assessing
It was a pretty
stand.
good chunk. There was more money than needed. So Supervisor Chapman thought, we don't need to charge these people this year to get more of the surplus. I think that's why.
That was a bad meeting for you to go on leave.
Yeah, it was.
No, I've got to open the public hearing. We're still under questions of the staff report. Okay, we're going to go ahead then and open the public hearing and like to entertain any questions, comments for or against the proposed budget, the tax levy. Anybody have any questions? Obviously, we've heard a great deal on it earlier today, so. Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back up to the board for action. Any further discussion?
Move for approval.
Been moved by Supervisor Wasik and seconded by Supervisor Pyle to approve the resolution approving the